Good morning, everyone. How are you guys this fine Friday morning? TGIF. Woohoo! The end of another work week. All right, let's take a look at what's going on here. The NASDAQ just opened up, and it looks like not, well, here, let's take a look at the eagle. The eagle will pretty much give us the bird's eye view, if you excuse the pun. So the market closed right about there yesterday. You can see a little bit of a rally through the overnight, a little bit of a decline during the European session, and here we are more or less the same neighborhood as where we left off. So the market hasn't drifted too far. They retested the highs here around this 46.90 area. That would have been yesterday's highs. Or, yeah, sorry, yesterday's. And so there we are. The hawk, you can see a little bit of a mixed bag here. We do have a test of the extreme. We'll see whether or not this builds into a rally, although we're getting a little bit of a test of the extreme to the downside also, aren't we? So we're definitely wedging up a little bit here. The hawk offering a couple more opportunities. You know, when the market's not moving as far or as fast, the hawk is a pretty good tool to have. Nice little first micro macro cross here shortly after the European Open. And likewise, during the Asian session, we had a first micro macro cross signal. Could have even caught it a little bit early off of this green bar sell failure. So the green bar sell did work out, but so did the failure. It failed here and then started to head a little bit higher. So here we are testing the lows, coming back now with a first micro macro cross to the downside. You know what? I think I'm going to throw a onesie on this. Cover above the highs. I'll turn it into a runner if it trips. It's still very early. It's only a couple, 3 minutes into the session. Pardon me. Gold putting in a little bit of a rally off of a first micro macro cross signal. I missed this signal here, but we'll see whether or not we don't get a macro pullback first or some sort of test of the extreme here. But looking like gold could be a good buy signal. All right, so we've filled here to the downside. I'm going to nix the profit target, and it looks like we got slipped a little bit on the entry. That's annoying. I'll leave the break-even trigger in play just because we're here at the lows. There we go. We're starting to see that reaction towards this support. Come on. Ooh, lots of support here at this 46.62 level. Pardon me. And the market definitely feeling that a little bit. Come on, sellers. No, now they're moving into a macro pullback. This is why I only chose to do this as a single. Well, because the market's still kind of looking for some sort of direction. Let's see if we're getting any kind of confluence across our signals. Well, the buyer's getting a little bit crazy here. You can see the Geiger counter just full on to the green side, just chewing through those buy orders. Got to see the sellers show up, or we're going to get a little bit of a hop here to the upside. Come on, sellers. Come on. Good morning, Jim. Jim says the advanced decline. We got about 1,400 on the buy and 1,100 on the sell. So what's that, about a positive 300? Well, we can pretty much nix this pennant style formation we were looking at. The buyer's just chewing through this. Pardon me. All right, so here comes the, here comes the Raptor now, and the Eagle, both with a hard edge bounce. So it looks like we're going to challenge the bottom end of this trading range. Of course, the best thing to do regarding these trading ranges is to let the market break out, right? Anything we take inside, now that we know we're inside a trading range, anything we take inside here is going to be more riskier, sorry. So ideally, we want to let it break out, retest, and then look for a signal. That's the safest thing to do. Now the Raptor is producing a hard edge bounce here, and also a double pullback, or in this case even a triple pullback. We are still testing the extreme. Now we do get this little bit of a swing, which has essentially pinched the market for us. So we know that selling below here, or actually let me see, I'll put a runner in. Selling below here should see the market move lower. Buying above here should see the market move higher. Now remember, I'm just showing you this. Ideally, the best course of action, and we're producing here a soft edge buy based on this failure of the test of the extreme. So the Raptor actually producing a buy signal and a sell signal, just confirming that the market is really in a tight range. But still, the better trade is to actually let it break out of here first. And how are we doing? We're about a quarter to the hour now. Okay, so it looks like they may try. Okay, we're getting yet another hard edge bounce and another sell signal. Haven't engaged it yet. All right, here they go. They're trying to fight their way through these orders now. Let's see this dial pull off here to the red side. That'll show us some pretty aggressive selling. Jim's looking to buy the YM off of support, anticipating that this channel no doubt would continue. Notice these little buying spikes that we're getting here. See these little plateaus? That shows us some pretty serious buying without any follow through or apparent follow through at the moment. So we're currently short. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the trade manager for my stop. That way it will roll my stop for me automatically. Look at the width of this bar though. My goodness, what a lot of activity went on at that bar. want to hold it just above that high. Look at how when we get back to these highs, how the sellers, well, they were trying to pour it on, but failed. Well, it's just one of those little privileges of being a trade room moderator. I get to show you something like that, even though it wasn't necessarily a high probability trade. The hawk trade, we're still holding on, but only because we've been holding our stop back. We did have some opportunities here to roll a stop. Working on a first micro macro cross to the upside now. Okay, that just got spoiled. So obviously the market's still very range bound. And if you find yourself in a market like this, you know, where you take a trade, when this first fired early into the session, okay, we had some yellow bars, we had a test of the extreme, we had a reason to give this a try. And you can see, had we filled on the hash mark, we very likely would have hit our break-even stop and would have been stopped out somewhere through here. But if you find that you're stuck in a sideways range, the best thing to do is just to hold your stop. Hold your stop back as far as you can, because that's going to be your best opportunity to actually give your trade a chance to profit. So we're probably going to see some buying activity as we get back toward the lows. Oh, the seller's pouring it on this time. Look at that. Oh, there come the buyers, which is to be expected. The sellers are, oh yeah, oh boy, what a battle. Look at that dial go back and forth on the Geiger counter. Oh, I think the sellers are going to fight their way through this time. No, there go the buyers again. Okay, our eagle also giving us a green bar sell off of the hard edge. If you're taking this, this is actually our signal bar right here. So you could take it short on the signal bar. Well, you're giving up about 5 ticks to enter below the low. So we'll take it on the signal bar. This is essentially the same trade as our hawk trade, which we've been sweating for a little while. We know this whole 46.64 area, pretty strong support. So if we get a breakout below there, we might see some follow through. There could be some, you know, some big orders sitting down here. Especially as we get closer toward this 46.62 region, which will no doubt have mucho support. Yeah, Jim, I think Jim's got the right idea here. He says, he writes chop fest, so he's just waiting, and that's really the best thing to do. Once the market breaks out, you know, we're always so afraid we're going to miss a move. Here the other day, very sideways trading range, right? Not much going on, pretty much same thing as today. We finally break out, and the market retreats a little bit, breaks out again. Oh, now we're starting to get a test. Oh, look, now we're getting a signal. So we do get those tests and retests. And this is only on the eagle, right? This is going to happen on the hawk. It's going to happen on the falcon. and it gives you an opportunity to get in with a higher probability trade. Yes, you may have to sit there for an hour or two even. It looks like this one didn't trip until the afternoon session before you get that type of signal. But really, are you doing this to make money, or is this a hobby? So, oh, look at that. You got actually several retests. You got this initial retest, and then you got another retest right back here before the market finally rallied. So we'll see what happens today. We'll throw this line down here, and we're starting to make a little bit of progress. So much that I should probably start to do something with my trade. We'll take it to break even now. And we'll use the parabolics. And yes, after all that, it would be a little bit of a shame to be stopped. At break even, but if the sellers are going to be serious here, they're going to have to start throwing some orders in there. Oh, good job. Ah, nuts. Scoundrels. I thought there for a moment we were going to ride that out, but not yet. So we're still nursing our eagle trade. Getting a first micro macro cross now on the hawk. Yeah, just a ton of support down at this level here. All right, well, here's again the first micro macro cross signal. And it is a little bit of a retest. I'll take that on the second push of the entry. It's essentially the same trade as what we initiated. No, that's into yellow bars now, so we'll cancel that. And we're taking a little bit of heat, but I suspect the sellers have to show up soon. Let's see what else we got going on here. Oh, interesting little opportunity here in gold. Hard edge bounce, green bar sell. Here's the little hiccup though. Very similar to what we're looking at in the NASDAQ, where the market's starting to get a little bit tight, right? It's making a test of the extreme to the upside, which would be with trend, but it tested the extreme lower, which might suggest the market's going to head higher. The good thing about this trade, while we haven't turned over on the ATR yet, I would probably consider taking it early, just because if I wait for the ATR to turn over, I'm going to be looking to enter below these lows. It's going to bring all these numbers into play here. This way, if I get the second push on this particular signal, even though it hasn't flipped the ATR line yet, it does give me an opportunity to perhaps witness an earlier reaction, perhaps get my stops in a little bit sooner. So there's a possible trade going on there in gold, for those of you following gold. All right, so here we go again with the, oh, actually we're getting a late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. Why don't we look at that one? I was going to highlight the Raptor trade again. Late filter entry signal, this one is purely DTS, right? There's no rhyme or reason here to short other than this is a late filter entry signal. All right. Uh-oh. Just taking a little bit of a hop here to the upside. Trend line has since changed color. And we really need to see some selling come into the marketplace now. Get that trend line coming back. Tony says the market seems to be honoring the trend line on the eagle. Let's shoot a line across here. I certainly hope so, Tony. It's probably time to start doing something with my stops. We've broken now through the downside. This is a little bit of a reaction, not really a retest yet, because breaking the lows by a couple of ticks, I don't usually consider that to be a breakout. Okay, so back now to the lows, and if this bar finishes to the downside, I'm going to begin rolling my stops. There we go. All right, so let's see where the ATR is at. Parabolics. No, can't do parabolic swing. I guess we'll do the bar high low. We've given it lots of time. Uh-oh, Jim's long. Jim's long off support. We're short on the breakout, so we're at odds with each other here. There's no question, huge support at this level. If the support ends up failing, we do have a little bit of room to move here. Certainly, where's my next support line? Down here, 46.50, 6.57, very probable target if the market fails here. Got a lot of buyers looking to get long, pardon me. And every time we get down here, we get yet another reaction. Come on, get through there. Sorry, Jim. All right, here they are. Almost. Look at the width of these bars. Look at just the volume that's going through here. It's huge volume. On the Raptor too, look at that. If anybody's going to dip their toe the other side of 46.62, the Geiger counter just waffling back and forth. There's the sellers trying to chew through a few orders. Here's the buyers. There's the sellers. Wow. What a battle. This is almost to the point you could flip a coin. This low right here is going to be huge, folks. Look at the width of this bar now. Just the incredible amount of volume going through this price. All right, let's see if somebody takes the other side of 46.62. And oh, they kissed it. All right, there we go. We're in the other side of 62. Now the next obstacle is where the market turned before at 46.60. Now we were through 46.62 for just a moment there. All right, probably time to do something with my Falcon trade also. You know, the market's just so choppy. I should probably do something like that. Maybe I'll give it to the last swing. We'll do that. Again, if they fail here, they're probably just going to wander back to the top side. So I either have to keep my stop way up here and just resign myself to risking that amount, or bring the stop in gradually. Not getting any follow through though. Tony's asking why I shorted at the support line. Well, that's a good question. Here on the Falcon, I did it for no other reason than it was the late filter entry signal, right? I'm totally playing the probability of this signal, that it's a high probability signal, that it should reach its profit objective, providing I don't get myself stopped out prematurely. All right, so this was just a pure DTS signal trade, no other logic to it. Yes, we're at the lows. The Eagle trade was actually kind of similar. And I do believe I pointed out that the best thing to do is to actually, pardon me, let it break and retest, but we were doing this green bar sell. And this was our signal bar. This was the bar which flipped the ATR over. And then we got brought in on that bar, and we're still fighting the lows. Now, you're absolutely correct. The best thing to do is to let it break out, give us that retest, and then look for a signal. Okay, so my break-even trigger has been hit. And we'll see whether or not we can't sneak it a little bit lower here before the market tries to come up and retest this whole support area. Oh, and look at the Falcon just hovering above our profit target. Get down there. Come on. Well, I'll just give it that bar. At least I'll take some profit out if it bounces. I'm willing it lower. Darn it, didn't work. So what was that, $50? Yeah, well, beats a kick in the head with a frozen boot, right? Not bad after sweating it for all that time. We'll see whether, here in a moment, whether I was too quick with that. All right, come on. Still working this eagle trade, getting a first micro macro cross here on the hawk. Again, not the strongest situation as we wait for the market to retest. This is still a signal, again, high probability signal and all, but you're still going to end up risking it pretty deep. We're not seeing major commitment here on the market's part. Now, again, not the best looking signal. I'll show it to you. It should work. We'll cancel the profit target, see if we can't turn it into a little bit of a runner. And you're going to get, you're going to develop an eye for these breakouts and retests. Like, for instance, here's a more prolonged range than what we're seeing. Now we're getting the breakout, but watch how this breakout works. Okay, so there's the initial little hiccup. There's your first micro macro cross. Okay, the market goes down. You're starting to get some room. Now we can anticipate a retest. Oh, where'd you go? Oh, sorry, made a liar out of me. Normally, we would see the market drift about that far, and then it would start to retest. Something like that. Not too deep. You don't want to see it getting way, way back up here. This kind of negates the whole retest thing. Pardon me. Let's see if we can find another one. Well, here's a good example. So the market breaks up, comes in for the retest. You'd be looking for your entry signal now, and it keeps going lower and lower, and now you're into yellow bars and red bars. So that kind of takes a little bit of wind out of the retest. You'd be looking for another signal now, right? And then they come back with a first micro macro cross lower. When they're choppy like this, it's just such difficult trading, and you can see there's been no shortage of chop as I'm scrolling back here through the NASDAQ. So now we're into a macro pullback. Ah, way to go, Jim. Jim nursed his long trade back to a break-even +1. That may not be a bad place to be, especially given the extreme amount of choppiness that we're seeing. See, now on this hawk trade, it's into yellow bars. There's zero direction to the market this morning. Well, unless you consider sideways a direction. Now this green bar sell that's printing would actually be a little bit more inviting than the first micro macro cross was. And the reason is we can anticipate the green bar sell will try to move lower, retest these lows. Whereas given where the first micro macro cross was, we're still so close to this trading range that we're anticipating that breakout, right? And then here with the green bar sell, well, we got a little bit of room here. We might be able to scalp a profit. And as we're getting up here, our green bar sell is going to disappear. And there it goes. So just not a very cooperative morning, and it's going to continue to be uncooperative until we get outside this trading range. Oh, we're going to get spanked here on the upside. And again, it just shows you why trading inside a range like this is so difficult and costly too. right? There's the bottom end of the trading range. Here's the top end of the trading range. Anything inside here, it's just very, very difficult. Gold also waffling quite a bit. Hasn't triggered our eagle trade. Coming back with another green bar sell. Still holding the hard edge. Technically now we do have a rule of 3 signal. And here we come with yet another green bar sell. You can tell by our filter here that the sellers are waning a little bit. They had a huge red block through here, smaller momentum here, and now we're pretty much even with the buyers. So again, that explains this whole sideways range. Again, one of these signals where you're more or less just trading the tool. There's not a lot of structure here right now, and this test of the extreme could definitely be problematic. Crude oil also waffling a little. No real good opportunities this morning, not yet. It is Friday too, so you don't always see great opportunities on a Friday. We'll see how they behave closer toward the end of the morning. Yeah, but at the moment, there's not much here to do. So this is typical of what happens within a trading range. You get the sellers who sell down here. The market goes up. You encounter. Okay, sorry, I got to start back here. You got buyers who buy up here. The market comes down. They're taking a whole lot of heat. The market comes back up. They're anxious to get out of their position. They're grateful to be at break even or, maybe a small profit. They ditch their positions. The market comes back down. You encounter sellers who sell down here. The market goes up, they're taking a bunch of heat, the market comes down, and now they get anxious to get out of their positions at a small loss or maybe even a small profit or break even. And then that fuels the market to send it higher again. Yeah, interesting comment here from Carrie. Carrie asks, once a session range has developed, does it make sense to just trade the extremes until a break of the extremes? By doing this, you do have to take a counter trend trade at the entry though. And that is a very traditional way of trading, Carrie, is what Carrie is saying is, well, why don't we know there's a trading range, why don't we buy down here? Why don't we buy down here? Oops, wrong tool. Why don't we buy down here and sell up here? Yeah, you can certainly do that. That's what Jim was trying to do. He was trying to buy off of the lows when the lows were down here. He took a little bit of heat. He managed to get out at break even. But yeah, a lot of traders are doing that. The nice thing about doing that is, and we'll simulate it here. The nice thing about doing that type of trade, first off, you need to use limit orders for those of you unaware of that. So what we'll do is we'll set the order manually like this. So if the market gets back up here near the highs, we will sell up here, and if it gets back down near the lows, we will buy down here. The good thing about trading this way is you can normally keep your stops fairly tight. You know, if you buy down here, and usually the easiest thing to do is just use a dollar amount. So let's say we're going to sell 46.70, and we're going to give it 2 ticks. So we will buy it back at 46.72. Or we'll go 46.72.50. That's $100. And likewise down here, if we buy it at 46.59, we'll buy it back at 46.56 half. So we're essentially risking $100 on the trade. And that amount certainly falls within, you know, your 1 or 2% risk exposure. The downside to trading like this, of course, is that sooner or later the market is going to leave this sideways trading range. In which case you're going to incur a stop out. And some traders even will run it tighter than that. You know, they'll run maybe a $50 or $60 stop. A good trading friend of mine, Tom Loge, always used to do that. He would be in and out of the market a half a dozen times a day, but he was looking for immediate momentum. He would be taking $30, $40, $50 stop outs because if the market did not produce immediate momentum, he didn't want to hang around. It's like, kill me or make me rich. You know, if you're going to go, go. If you're not going to go, then I'm out of here. But we'll see. Let's see. Do we have a tighter range that we can play here? Maybe on the Raptor. No, when you're doing this type of trade, you don't want to start getting too cute with the market. Jim likes these first hour highs and lows, so we could use that as an area. I think actually this is why Jim probably developed the first hour high low. So if the market gets up here to the high of the morning, it would be a place to sell, and you could use the low of the morning as a place to buy. It's a very interesting concept. Okay, so here we are now at the hawk, and we're just kind of hovering at that 46.70 area. We'll see whether they give us a tag. And I think the high of the morning was what, 46.72? Oh, 46.72 half. So that's exactly where our stop is. So you can see we kissed the entry, but we have to actually trade through it with a limit order. It's not good enough just to touch it. And we have to use limit orders because prices, we're looking to sell, prices are currently below what price we're prepared to sell at. So in other words, prices are trading 46, 68, 69. We don't want to sell unless we can get 46.70. That's how a limit order works. You're specifying at what price you're prepared to sell at. Otherwise, you could just use the sell market button. All right, so now we're short, and I'm going to disable the break even. And now we'll see how much heat we take. Wouldn't that be something if we ended up, oh, I was going to say, if we ended up selling the high of the swing. Yeah, here's some good advice too from Mark. This is this is very prudent. Mark says the other thing I do in situations like this, meaning the sideways market, is tighten my profit targets. For example, I tightened my profit target on the Falcon to 16 ticks and ended up actually getting all of it on that last late filter trade. I had 5 contracts on, and the one, I had 5 contracts on that one and was sweating it, but tightening the profit targets has worked for me. Of course, I like to go all in, all out for most part, especially in these situations. Yeah, so that's very, very insightful, very smart. You know, if you know the market's not having a whole lot of follow through, you may as well take whatever you can get, and tightening a profit target going all in, all out is a good idea. So here we're testing the highs. We'll see whether or not we get any selling participation. Patience is a big one in a market like this too. We can cancel those orders down there. Let's see if we can't get into a macro pullback type situation, or maybe it looks like we're getting a little bit of a trend line. So here we'll take a profit if we get back down to the macro line. Sweating a little first micro-macro cross signal here now. Jim says the DAX is quite bullish, and that it's broken out, so we'll see whether that trickles over here into the rest of the stock indices, in particular the NQ. Come on. All right, well, we'll snap the trade to break even. This is what I would probably do in a real life situation. If you wanted to see how it played out, you could certainly leave your stop above the high. The reason I rolled my stop to break even is the tail on this candle right here. It is our first micro-macro cross to the upside, and it made me suspicious that perhaps we were going to see a little bit of a rally as a result. So I figured may as well take it to the break-even line. Come on down. There you go. Okay, so again, it's a limit order. It's being a little bit difficult. It's got to, there we go. It's got to trade right through it. So there's an example of how you could do that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. Just be aware that sooner or later you are going to get that breakout, and that will result in a losing trade. But you know, we only need a couple solid signals a day. Gold has gotten just dead quiet. I'm not sure I've ever seen gold range this tight. Just stuck. Totally stuck. Yeah, Mark says, nice example. It was nice that it worked out, wasn't it? There are, excuse me, there are traders who will routinely short the high of the day will routinely buy the low of the day, just because you're almost always guaranteed a reaction. All right, I'm just snooping around a little bit here to see if there's anything that's going on. Okay, so now we're going to try the same sort of scenario here on the Raptor. And again, this isn't necessarily a recommended trade for today. The market is very sideways, but we've got this interesting little situation where we're trading back near the high of the session. And if we hit that high, we should see a reaction of sorts. I don't think we would see it necessarily retreat all the way to the lows, but are we getting comparable signals? No, the hawk keeps drifting into yellow bars. We do have a rule of three type situation here on the Eagle. I don't know how aggressive I would want to be on that. Haven't seen a really well-defined test of the extreme. You know, technically, I suppose you could say this was it right here, but we won't really know in hindsight. I think what I would do in this type of situation is I would use the rule of three more as an early warning. If the trend actually does change and roll over, we should produce a with trend signal somewhere around there. All right, so we're well, I guess this was your late filter entry signal on the Falcon. I didn't notice it when it was developing. It was also a trend change signal and a late filter entry. The signal tripped right here. I think I would probably dial down the risk amount and only throw a onesie on it. And I like Mark's idea of today getting in and out with a little less risk exposure. Jim's really been sweating the market this morning. He's used to being in and out. But he did, well done, Jim. He says he picked up 21 ticks on 2 contracts. That's well earned. Well, not a whole lot going on here. We'll see if things shake up toward the top of the hour. Otherwise, we may just call it a day, have an early weekend. I agree with Jim's assessment here. He says the market will make a move at the end of the day, and that does tend to be how these types of things play out. If you want to play the last hour of the day, you'll see a lot of traders settle their positions, and that is very likely to cause a big rally or decline. Well, there, again, look at the width of the bars, tons of volume, no follow through. This is characteristic of choppy markets. Well, you guys, I think we're going to button up the room. It doesn't look like we're going to miss out on anything. If you are going to trade this afternoon, yeah, we don't really have a direction yet, do we? So, if anything, I tend to give the upper hand to the bears, just because it's easier for a market to decline than it is to rally. but they don't have it by much. The advantage, I mean. But yeah, caution is in order, and I do agree with Jim's assessment that we're probably going to see a rally or a decline at the end of the day. So you may want to tune in later. All right, you guys have yourselves a wonderful weekend. I will catch you again Monday morning. Don't do too much trick-or-treating on the weekend. Bye for now.